The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and you know what today is. Today is 306-degree F with my guest co-host, Dr. Michael Mantell. And the link is what you think. I did say the link is what you think. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But I tell you, I'm excited about the show today. I'm excited about this returning guest. You know, I'm just excited about everything today, Dr. Mike. I'm just excited.
I'm excited to be here with you and Michelle. It's always a tribute and an honor. I expressed that to you recently. I mean that from a heartfelt way. Today's guest is wonderful, a good friend of mine, and he's been a guest here before. And we're going to be talking about a topic. I don't want to steal Michelle's thunder now. But we're going to be talking about a topic that affects 1 in 6 people globally. And this is not a medical issue. This is something else, but it increases your risk of heart disease by 30%. We got to get into this topic.
Yeah, we got to. How you doing, Michelle? How you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing good, James. You know, I love our 360-degree health series. I love it. And I love the the doctors that we bring on, the specialists, and it's all about educating and informing the audience. And we have a great returning guest on the show today.
Well, I'm excited. I want to get started with this. Can you do the honors by introducing the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic returning guest?
Yes, it's 360-degree health. And the title of today's show is The Importance of Community, Defeating Loneliness, Disease, and Memory Loss. And we're having a returning guest, sit-down conversation with Dr. Eric Z. Shapira. He is a professor of geriatric medicine, nursing, dentistry, and hospital administration, dentist, clinical gerontologist, aging specialist, educator, lecturer, author, and artist. He's going to talk about this topic in terms of habits, loneliness, coping skills, effective life plans, and moving forward. Be a frog. Dr. Shapira was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. He received a Bachelor of Science degree from Bethany College in West Virginia. He went to the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine and Temple University School of Dentistry in Philadelphia, and had a medical and dental residency at Mount Zion Hospital and Medical Center in San Francisco. He met and married Susan and is still running strong after 45 years of marriage. He received his master's degree in clinical gerontology from Notre Dame de Namur University and a master's in health administration from the University of Phoenix. Dr. Shapira holds a master's in general dentistry as well. He had his own private practice in dentistry in Half Moon, California for 40 years. He now works per diem in dentistry and has a practice in gerontology and geriatrics, named Aging Specialist, Inc. for over 20 years. He teaches geriatric and special needs dentistry. Wow. And he holds Rotary's highest award for meritorious service and many times over a Paul Harris Fellow. He's volunteered for all over the world in almost 50 years of being Rotarian. He has published 3 books, and he's going to talk to you more about what he's doing, especially about this topic on the importance of community, defeating loneliness, disease, and memory loss. Please welcome back to the show, Dr. Eric Z. Shapira.
I love the cheers.
It's an absolute pleasure having you back on the show, and especially this topic that we're going to talk about today, because loneliness, especially when it comes to the elder, is an epidemic. And so I think our viewers and our listeners are going to be in for a treat. So I want to start off with the first question. Why is community such as critical factors in healthy aging, and what does it actually protect against?
That's a good question. I'm not sure I'm going to answer what you expect me to answer because I can't read your mind. I can say that I want to talk to you about one word before I answer that question. The word is communication, and community has a good part of communication in it. So communication is a two-way transmission of thoughts, information, and feelings, which, when successful, leads to common meaning and understanding. But that doesn't necessarily mean that community involves communication in a great deal, but in different forms. It's a social community, it's a verbal community, and it's an actual doing community. Those are 3 things that are important in the aging community, if you're going to talk about geriatrics. But as we age, I think it's really important for people to be in some kind of a community activity and take part in where they live. And I think it's important to be able to communicate to other people at the same time. I think if you don't have community and communication together, people are at a loss. And I think they need to know how to find community and understand what it might mean to them in relation to other people who may find a different meaning in it. I don't know if I answered the question, but I think
I think you've opened up the show beautifully for us. I probably gave us more than even JC was hoping for, but that was great.
Oh, absolutely.
We call our show each week 360-degree health. I'm wondering, when you think of that concept, 360-degree health, how central is community to this whole person approach?
I think it's extremely important, but there's different kinds of community I was alluding to. And you've got a personal community, that's family. And that's really one of the most important communities anyone could have or ask for. I have grandkids right now who are teens and going through hormonal changes, and grandpa and grandma are not there for them. We don't live in the same community. We call and we write and we text and we call their parents, and we still don't hear from these kids. And one of the things that helps us become a whole person is family and family history and family tradition. Those things give us a foundation for our lives and give us direction within the whole of our community and the whole of the world in itself. So it gives us some identity.
I think many people experience that. We certainly do. Grandkids and children living on the other side of the country. It's no surprise that the United States of America just took a nosedive in overall happiness in a study that was just released yesterday as I saw it. Speaking of studies, the World Health Organization just recently released some data that relate to your topic here today. 1 in 6 people globally experience loneliness. Loneliness, as they say, increases your risk of heart disease by 29%. Social isolation raises stroke risk by 32%. 871,000 plus or minus people die annually from loneliness-related causes. The list goes on. What do we know today, scientifically and clinically, about the link between loneliness and physical decline?
Well, Harvard just came out with a study that indicated that at least 25% of people who experience loneliness and social isolation end up in early death. It was an interesting study.
Yeah.
I just read a paper, and I don't happen to have it in front of me. I have some of it in my cranium at the moment. But loneliness itself has been equated to at least 36 systemic diseases.
Amazing.
That is a killer. And a lot of those diseases are death-defying diseases. And people should be aware of that type of thing. Now, we're talking about loneliness in terms of being in a home with people in it. We're talking about loneliness and being alone. We're talking about people being alone, like you and I, we're in a room, but it's a visual room, it's electronic, but we're not alone, we're together. So we have companionship and we have discussion. But when we're home by ourselves, we're alone. Now, emotionally and intellectually, we need to understand what that means. Are we mature enough and understand ourselves enough to not feel sorry for ourselves, which is a symptom? I'm not going to get into psychology because you're the psychologist, but I think those things are important to understand. The dynamic is diverse, and right now we're finding a lot of medical issues due to the dynamic of being lonely or being alone. Those are two different things.
So
go
I
ahead.
was going to ask you how social isolation affects our brain, our memory, and even our immune system.
Yes, both those things have been attributed to dementia. And I used to, in my early days in geriatrics and gerontology, I joined a county mental health group of volunteers. One of the groups was friendly neighbors or something to that effect. But I joined this group and was a counselor for them. And I went to people's homes where they were isolated, where they may not have had families or anyone to help take care of them or stimulate them in some way, like we're doing now with each other and our audience. And I sat and I listened. Listening is a skill also in communication. And so I would try to hear through my listening ability what the concerns were. And I could bring out that fear of loneliness, the fear of being alone in these people, let them talk about it.
Hey, doctor, can you hold that thought? We got to take a station break, but I want to come back and I want to finish this because this is great. So I tell you what, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is go to the comments on the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Doctor James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Dr. Michelle Cooley. Heart disease research saves lives. It's that simple. Thanks to medical advancements funded by the American Heart Association, more women are surviving heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular diseases than ever before. But there's still so much work to do.
Hi, I'm Dr. James J.C. Cooley, and I'm raising funds to support life-saving research because every heartbeat is worth fighting for. In honor of Women's History Month, please join me in support of the American Heart Association and women's health.
Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith and learning come together to transform lives. At VCU, we believe that education is more than just academics. It's about fostering a community of growth, integrity, and purpose. Whether you're pursuing a bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, VCU offers flexible, affordable, and 100% online degree programs that cater to your busy life. Our innovative platform provides a personalized learning experience, empowering you to thrive in today's ever-evolving world. Join a global community of learners guided by an experienced faculty who are committed to your success. With VCU, you're not just earning a degree, you're preparing for a future that integrates faith, leadership, and service. Viridian Christian University, educating with purpose, transforming lives. Learn more at ViridianChristianUniversity.com. ViridianChristianUniversity.com.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what we're talking about today affects, just like what Dr. Michael Mentiel had mentioned, 1 out of every 6 individuals. And we're talking about loneliness. We're talking about aging. We're talking about a lot of things. And I'll tell you what, Dr. Shapira was on the road. I had to cut him off a little bit because we had to take that break. But I want to pick it back up from there. So, Dr. Mike, what questions, just in case people just tune in, that you just asked Jim? So
we've been talking about the connection between brain health, community, and so forth. And so let me just sort of tighten that up. It seems like the brain does need stimulation from other people to stay healthy. So the question, we're talking about dementia and Alzheimer's and things like that. Can fostering strong social ties actually help reverse memory loss, or I should say in older adults?
I think it slows it down, Michael. I think depending on the extent of the dementia and the damage it might do to the cells in your brain, it may slow it down a great deal to have social contact on an ongoing basis. I don't believe we're made to live alone or to be alone. I think we need other people for not just support and stimulation, but for our own self-awareness and our own abilities to be able to live life in a healthy and enjoyable manner. I think when people get caught up in the mainstream and something happens that's negative and they can't cope, and that's when they need somebody like you to assist them, I believe. I can only go so far with what I know. My degrees, also my geriatric degree, my master's is in clinical geriatrics with an emphasis on counseling psych, but I'm not a psychologist. I took psychology courses and all that type of thing, and I went through every kind of therapy there is. But you have to be open to, as a human, you need to be open to accept that that's what we are. We're human, we're fallible. And if we get caught up in our own mire, so to speak, our own mesh, and get stuck and don't know how to get out of that, then I think that's when your depression starts, your dysthymia, the blues, the process, the negative process that inhibits all the healthy aspects of what we should have.
The answer to this, that very, very good. Very good. The answer to this next question may be obvious. Michelle was alluding to it earlier, that people can be in a home and feel lonely, and people can, be alone and not feel lonely. So what are some of the most effective ways that people, especially older adults, can build or rebuild a sense of community? If you go into retirement homes, you see people who love the community and people who are in that same community and are off by themselves. Mm-hmm. So what advice do you have for people who are facing this challenge to build a sense of community?
I don't like to give advice. People don't want it. I like to give information.
Give information then. Tell us about your experience in that.
I have a quote here. Connection just isn't a part of a good life. It is the good life.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's something to remember. It's not only poetic, it's backed by science. And change is constant. It's circumstantial. Things happen to all of us. And if we are saddened because our expectations weren't communicated in an active way, then we're going to get down on ourselves. And we may feel that we're not good enough to do whatever it is we're supposed to do. And we lock the door and we don't let anybody in. And that means emotionally and physically.
Yeah. And
that's what starts the process of degenerating the nuclear stimulation, the chemicals. You've heard about endorphins. We're gonna go to Disneyland and ride the rides at Disneyland and take that big slide down and have a great fun and scream and yell. And we're stimulating our endorphins. We're stimulating our epinephrine. We're stimulating chemicals in our body that we're made of, and we feel good. But when we don't get that emotional stimulation, we might feel bad. And that's the start of it. And if we let it get a hold of us, then I think we're on the wrong track. Transition in itself is psychological. Change is circumstantial.
The way we look at change is critically important. So what you're describing sounds like a biological direction. In other words, loneliness triggers similar chemical reactions that stress might. Then there's the psychological you touched on. Social disconnection, we know, increases our risk of, you use the word depression or anxiety or even rage if we're not getting what we demand. And then lonely people are more likely to do things that are harmful to them, smoke or drink too much or avoid exercise or skip medication. So this is really obviously a most important issue. Now, one of the topics that people talk about in this area is having a purpose. If someone is dejected and lonely and alone, even in the community, the neighbors are outside, but they don't take part of that. You often emphasize purposeful living. How does having a purpose in later life help defeat loneliness and disease?
That's a very good question. And I have an interesting answer for you. And it has to do with a patient of mine who was a shut-in. She was a dental patient at one point, and then became my geriatric counseling patient for a short time. Her husband committed suicide, and she was middle-aged, and she cloistered herself, locked herself in her home and wouldn't come out. Didn't do anything and started to go inside herself. She, instead of blooming and blossoming like a flower, she enveloped within. And she called me one day and said she thought she needed to talk to somebody and she trusted me. So we talked. And you hit it on the nose. She did not have a purpose. Her purpose in life was her husband and family and that type of thing. And I asked her, I listened. I said very little to her. I just listened. And I said to her, do you like to read? And she said, yes. I said, do you read a lot at home? She said, I used to. And I said, what about now? She said, no, I'm just feeling very sad. So now we've got negative chemicals going against the positive chemicals. And she's she was depressed, obviously. So I said, I want you to do me a personal favor. I have a patient in a long-term care facility in the community where I was chief of dentistry in this hospital with 150 patients for 25 years. And I also had my own practice at the same time. And I said, I've got a lady with multiple sclerosis. Her hands are like this. She can't turn a page. She can't brush her teeth. She loves to read. I'd like you, for me and for her eventually, to go and read to her. Go introduce yourself. I'll give you her name, her room. So she did. And she went there and introduced herself and said, was there anything you'd like to hear about? And the woman said, yes, I was trying to read a book and I can't read it and the nurses here won't help me. And she went ahead and started reading books to this woman. That woman lived 10 years longer than she was supposed to by medical prediction. Not the one reading, but the MS patient. And the other woman went a 360. Here you go. She went up. Changed and started bringing people into her life because of that. So we need other people to survive. We need other people to feel good. And we need that for ourselves to feel good. And I think for me, it's a basic humanistic thing to be loving other people. Love is part of it. I mean, it's just, what else can I say? It's part of your psyche.
It is.
A nurture.
It is part of the psyche, I believe. And so that's a good point. I mean, just doing things. I got a question. I know we talked about just a little bit, but how does routine, especially ones tied to community experiences, impact the cognitive skill over time? And how could that be good in ensuring a person have the understanding to be able to understand certain things might have to change and certain habits might have to change.
Yeah, there's lots of habits out there. So I think you have to point out the positive. I mean, people might be getting a high out of smoking marijuana and feeling good, but it's detrimental to your lungs just as much as smoking a cigarette, if not more. I think it's important to nurture your body. You only have one body, and you only got one shot at doing what you're supposed to do in life, whatever that choice is for you. And I think it's important for I think it's important to accept change. I don't think we should be sitting in our room and being stuck to one thing, like a diet. Some people can't afford food, so what are they eating? They're eating scraps. They're maybe taking an inexpensive vitamin, thinking that's going to nurture their physiology, and it's not, because the brain needs all kinds of stuff to keep it healthy, going, and we need that brain for complete function. So we have to look at again, I'm taking your theme of 360. We got to look at our diet. We've got to look at our environment. We have to look at our company. We have to look at our friends. We need acquaintances or friends. We need activities. And I sent my mother, who had dementia, to the senior center. She went in the bus. She loved riding in the bus. And I adopted a little dog from a dementia patient of mine. She didn't know she had a dog anymore. She wasn't taking care of it. It was a Chiweenie, and it was a trained assistance dog. And my mother really took to that dog. But she went to that senior center, and she told everyone she slept with Harry, but she never told them it was a dog. And that
fabulous. That's great.
That picked her spirit up and threw those endorphins into her brain, and her personality changed for at least 24 hours after she did that.
Wow. Yeah, hold that thought. We're going to take a station break. But Michelle, I know you got a question. You can answer when we get back. I'll tell you whichever platform that you're watching us on. If you want to be part of this great conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
It's the James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. Yeah. Come on. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you what, that last conversation that we was having with Dr. Shapira, I think he's saying is a companion sometimes. A companion will help lift the spirits and the endorphins in oneself, and which will give them the energy to keep striving on. So I think that's so important. Can you pick up on that one, Dr. Shapira?
Yeah, I think it's important to keep moving forward. I developed this philosophy of frog following for positivity. Being an old biology major, I watched a lot of frogs in my life. And I think it's important to be a frog because frogs only go forward. If they want to go backwards, they have to turn around and then they're going forward again. So they're forward directed. Things, change happens. It's constant. Every moment of every second of our life, we're experiencing some kind of a change, whether we're feeling it internally or externally. Change happens. In terms of transition is psychological. I mean, you need to adapt to change. When you're dealing with transition, you take a different kind of journey, and you need to consciously pick yourself up like the frog does. Who goes forward, it can't go backwards. If it wants to go backwards, it has to turn around and it's going forward again. So we can't change yesterday, but we certainly can change the now. We can change today, and I think that if we understand that, if people get into a habit of just keep moving forward and make today, we only have today. I mean, I can tell you for a fact that, if you come close to meeting your maker, you only have today. That's all we have to do whatever good we can do, whatever we can do to assist ourselves and others, because we may not have a tomorrow. But if we do something good today and we have that tomorrow, it's going to be a better tomorrow. And we just keep following that path. But I think in today's society, we need to look at diet. We need to look at what we eat, how we eat, how often we eat, what we drink, what kind of habits we have. That habits are extremely hard to break, and you need a positive to get the change to happen. You need a change agent for habits. And that's a whole other topic. But I think that all of these things can affect loneliness and being alone. If you're sad because you've lost a partner, then go out and experience life and go meet other people. I sent my mother lost my dad, got a partner, lost him, and then went to the senior center and was with other people. And I think being with a like kind, another person, just sitting next to somebody and talking or listening changes your chemistry and helps combat some of that feeling of loneliness. But being alone is not necessarily that loneliness. What can I say? That loneliness shell. And if you put a shell around yourself, it's real hard to crack that outer nut to get the peanut. It's and to find out, why am I feeling this way? Where's that? Who's going to ask me that question?
Right, Michelle, do you have a question?
And no, actually, I just have a comment. Two things. When I was in when I was growing up, I went to Catholic school and I volunteered on the weekends to go to a senior citizen home. Our group is called the Legion of Mary. So we went there every Saturday and we visited, the elderly, and they were very happy to see us and to have connection, to have people who interact with them and care about them. And I know life is hard for a lot of families. Some they, for whatever reason, there are a lot of reasons they put their family members in an assisted living facility because maybe they cannot take care of them. But I think the most important thing is that they visit them, they still engage with them. But with that said, also, like you mentioned, Dr. Shapira, if something happens to you, you lose a partner, you have to change with your circumstances. You have to figure out what your new normal is right now. You're used to doing things with your partner. Unfortunately, they're not there anymore. So what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? What is your new normal? And how are you going to change how you feel? That's the only comment I wanted to make.
I appreciate that, but I'm also looking at part of that in terms of losing a partner, watching both my mother and other people that I've known, my mother-in-law and friends, is the grief process. And I think the grief process, which affects your sense of self and the loss that you're experiencing, you need to come to a realization that even though you've lost your partner of how many years, you're still here and you're still able to make relationships happen for yourself. And you've got family around you, and friends are family, and you have choices. And that's all we have. We have choice. We can make a choice. We can either sit in our room and lock the door and feel sorry for ourselves and dwindle away. And some people aren't aware of what they're doing to themselves, and we need to make them aware of that. Or you can open that door and walk out into the light and do something positive. That's what I want people to know. I think that's important.
Fellow at the gym today, literally just this morning, see him every day. He's an older guy, whatever older means anymore. I mean, my God, I don't believe I'm 76, but whatever. And he says,
"You don't look it, Michael."
Thank you. He says, I said, "How you doing today?" He said, "I'm not doing well." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I'm just getting older." I said, what are you talking about? And he said, "I'm just tired. I'm tired of the workout." Now, it made me stop and think about our show today. Reframing aging is the key. Aging in people who age like fine wine, aging is not about fading away. It's about leveling up. So forget dreading a birthday. Start treating birthdays like milestones of achievement. People who age well have a mindset where they move daily with joy, not with oi, not with obligation. They like what they're doing. That's a change in your thinking. They eat, you talk about diet, they eat to fuel their future, not their waistline. That's a change in the way you look at what food is for. What is it for you? Change the way you think about it. They guard their brain like it's their most valuable asset, because it is. Memory loss is not necessarily inevitable.
That's true.
And people who stay sharp challenge their minds constantly with games and talking and so forth. And obviously, they nurture relationships like their life depends on it, because it does. So the things we're talking about today are all about changing your perspective. And I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it, but the link is what you think. What are your thoughts about that?
It's true. It's true. I think one of the smartest people I ever met was 95. He was in a concentration camp during World War II and escaped. He was a psychologist. He had 5 PhDs. His name was Heinz von Forrester. And he had so much to offer, so much to give. I couldn't listen enough. And I had a story to tell about him. He was alone, but not really. His wife had dementia, Alzheimer's, and he took care of her. She couldn't communicate with him. in that sense, he was alone. And we had a discussion about death and dying once, and he said, well, it can't be that bad to die because nobody's ever come back to tell us any different. And I had a laugh at that, but his rationale was right on. Yeah. And then there was a fire he lived in the country, not too far away from me, and there was a fire in his backyard. And he called the fire marshal and said that something came out of the sky. It was a piece of a satellite. It came down and started a fire. So they put the fire out and they found this piece of metal. But before that, he said something came out of space and landed in my backyard. And the fire battalion chief said, Dr. Von Forrester, you're reading too many scientific not real stuff about space and that type of thing. And Von Forrester turned to the battalion chief and said, you're not reading enough.
That's great.
So he had his sense of humor. Humor breaks tension. And it's really good to stay in that plane and not let so many negative things in life take us down.
That's where mindset becomes so important.
Yeah,
Eric, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you what changes. You have had a tremendous wealth of experience in the healthcare system in various ways. What changes in the healthcare system and public policy would you like to see to better address the epidemic of loneliness?
Oh my goodness, loneliness is rampant, and I think a lot of people don't understand that because they're secure in their own lives. I think we need to make people more aware of the homeless, the veterans that have PTSD, and those that aren't veterans that have PTSD and other emotional issues, and trying to cope with. I think these people need a place to go and talk and get out of their ruts, and to help heal them from their emotional traumas, because that alone will help you lose memory loss. I had a patient who was a physician, Filipino physician of mine, came into my office for a small filling, and when I went to give her an injection here, she freaked out, hit my arm, screamed. She had PTSD. And I asked her, where did this come from? She didn't know, but she said when she was a little girl growing up in Manila, her mother told her that the Japanese were going to invade, and they put her in a sack of rice and covered her up with rice and put her with all the other rice bags. And the soldiers came in with their bayonets, and she had a bayonet go across her eyes like this in the bag. That gave her post-traumatic stress syndrome. And I think a lot of people can be stressed out by a lot of things and not understand the dynamics of it. And they need somebody like you, Michael, a therapist, who can help them get out of the rut. And they need somebody like me who can help them get out of the rut, or Dr. Cooley. I think it's important. Awareness is really, really important in the community and the society. There's a lot of stuff going on nobody understands or even knows about.
Well, so hold that thought, Doc. We got to take a station break. We're going to take a quick one right here. But wow, I want to come back and I want to pick it up what you're talking about right now. So I tell you what, it's not too late to become part of this great conversation. All you have to do is go to the platform that you watch us on, ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
The future is here.
Now is the time to pursue the greatness in you. Welcome to Viridian Christian University, where faith meets future. We are a fully accredited, 100% online Christian university. We offer bachelor's degree, master's and doctorate degree programs, built for students like you. Affordable tuitions, 30+ degree programs, 100% online and flexible, integrating faith with learning. Study from anywhere at your pace. At VCU, we do not just prepare you for a degree. We prepare you for purpose. Discover who you are, grow in faith, and build a future that impacts the world.
Are you ready to start your journey today?
Visit www.viridianchristianuniversity.com.
Apply today and be among the global leaders.
Hello, and welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, Dr. Shapira was on something. A great topic, but we had to take a station break. We got about 7 minutes left in the show, so I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Dr. Mike.
Okay, thank you. We were talking about healthcare systems and what innovations and changes might be made. And you said something that stimulated my thinking, Eric. I'm just curious what you think. You go to a doctor, whether it's in an emergency room or, whatever, urgent care or doctor's office, and you come in with your anxiety and whatever the issue is, the diagnosis, regardless of age, you're sent home. What about the idea of having in an urgent care or an emergency room or a doctor's office building, a place where we could send people to share their experience, to talk about it? I know HIPAA laws and privacy and all that stuff. We're not saying they need therapy. They don't have psychiatric illnesses. They have normal, healthy concerns. What if the healthcare system recognizes that and built more opportunities for people to have community? What thoughts do you have?
It's fantastic.
Am I dreaming?
No, you're not. I gave a lecture at UCSF, University of California, San Francisco. I came with 2 lectures. One was medicine and dentistry in a foreign country, and the other was communication. They wanted to hear medicine and dentistry in a foreign country. These were senior students, fourth-year students, medical and dental. And I said, how much communication have you had in 4 years? How many classes on patient communication? Oh, we haven't had any classes. We just had a 1-hour lecture in 4 years. So recently I had a medical procedure done, and I was talking to a physician who was a fellow in this department, had to be a cardiac department. And we started talking about my philosophy in a sense, and nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And he never heard anything like that. I said, how much communication did you have in your education? None.
Right.
So how do you learn people skills? How do you learn how to function with other people? How do you learn to listen? How do you learn how to be empathic, to tell your feelings to someone in a safe environment? How do you learn how to teach that. And that's something that's missing from the medical profession in terms of all the people that we're talking about today that are lonely or alone or feeling lonely, and other people that have physical and mental issues that need to talk about them.
We just have a moment or two left. Give us, if someone's listening right now feels isolated, lonely, what one small but powerful step can they take in your mind to move forward in connection and health?
First thing is to get out of their room, get out of their brain, and go somewhere and give your gift away. We don't know what gifts we have until we give them away.
Right.
Go to a library and read to a kid who can't see. Go somewhere and take a child who can't hear and make noise of some kind so that they understand what you're trying to do with play. Something help assist somebody else, and in turn you're helping yourself.
Eric, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. If people want to be in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Eric at drshapira.com is my email, and I'll take any questions or any issues people have. Eric, ERIC at drshapira.com.
I want to make a comment just to the audience that we're all going to get old and get age. And
State of mind.
Huh?
State of mind. Yes, go ahead.
And we have to think about how we treat others who are at that stage right now, because eventually we're going to get there, and maybe learn from them what, how we can do things to avoid the loneliness epidemic when it comes to aging.
Challenge your fear. A lot of people are afraid. You got to challenge that fear. You got to go smack it in the face. Got
to smack it in the face. I tell you what, we're out of time. Hey, Dr. Shapira, you know that you got to stand an invitation on the show. So we would love to get you back again. I like to thank Dr. Michael Mantell for always making sure that he select the right and the guest for that particular time. I'd like to thank Michelle for always putting together a great program. I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, especially 360 Degree Health. Always, always, always dream big, think big, and be big. And remember, the link is what you think. And we'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.
Dr. James